this is one of Kevin's employers that sends this email. This is a new intern on my team who was called in sick on a couple of occasions. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can see the email from him yesterday to my boss, Paul, saying that he would not be able to come into work today because of a family emergency. A coworker of mine pulled up his Facebook page, similar to MySpace, and found pictures of him at a party last night. So basically, he had to go to New York for a family emergency because he wanted to party in Worcester for Halloween. And then the last email from Kevin's boss. Kevin, thanks for letting us know. Hope everything's okay. Cool one. Every time an employer's sick or an applicant comes in, we'd love to get something like that and be able to judge that. The city of Ashland, Oklahoma, comes pretty close to actually authorizing that in their social media policy. I shake my head when I read this because they've tried. The city has an obligation to include internet-based content when conducting background investigations of job candidates. That's pretty great. Searches should be conducted by a non-decision maker. Information pertaining to protected classes shall be filtered out prior to sharing any information found online with decision makers. Persons authorized to search internet-based content should be deemed as holding a sensitive position. Search methods shall not involve techniques that are a violation of existing law. Here's a little limitation. Vetting techniques shall be applied uniformly to all candidates. Every effort must be made to validate internet-based information considered during the hiring process. The next step that I think many employers want to do is, can you ask the applicant for his Facebook login advice? Does anybody do that? Do any of you do that? I was alarmed to find out that, fortunately, Sandy City doesn't ask to disclose their login in writing, but I did hear an instance the other day where a department head who came in and was conducted the final interview with the employee. Said, hey, why have I got you here? Let's step over to the computer. And why don't you pull up for me here your Facebook page? Pulled it up on site, the potential candidate right there. When we found out about it, and our HR director found out about it, we stopped that practice. But the temptation's there to do that. Hopefully you don't do it. There's some real concerns about doing that. You've got freedom of speech concerns, freedom of association. What do you do if you get some information that shows they belong to a protected class? Even if you don't hire them for an appropriate reason, the allegation can always come back of, well, you didn't hire me because, and then they'll rattle off one of those protected classes that come back to haunt you. They've got privacy. They may have HIPAA-related information there. They've got others. With regard to Facebook, I guess my opinion on that is, if you have an itch or you're requiring access to an employee or an applicant's Facebook account, you're really kind of swimming against the current. And then these last two slides, there's proposed legislation. Just April 27th, 2012, Representative Engel of New York introduced the SNOPA legislation. This legislation would prohibit employers from requiring username, password, or other access to online content. It would bar them from disciplining individuals who refuse to volunteer such information. And there's pending 5 bills in 5 states: California, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Minnesota. And in essence, do the same thing. So despite that itch or that desire to get that type of information on our employees, I think the tide is that's something that won't be allowed to do soon. Here are those references with regard to social media policies. Those really are great policies. Some of them you'll see are just 3 or 4 pages. Others are 20 plus pages. They're all very good. You'll see what matches your entity's needs if you don't have the policy in place. And I've referenced on the last page great resources that come from the state of Utah that should be very helpful for you. Any questions? Appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is obviously a thing we're going to be working with in the new decade with social media. That will be more prevalent, and we'll probably talk about that more in the